Yes.
Okay, bet.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Beyond the Backboard Podcast. Today, we are beyond episode 19 because we're at episode 20. We're live on YouTube. There's probably not going to be anyone watching in here, but if you want to, you can watch this in post. My name is Max. His name is Omar. His name is Earl. We're here to talk about all the big NBA news. I'm excited because the Knicks beat the Raptors, and I'm excited because the Lakers lost. And I'm also just excited because it's a good time in the NBA. We got the trade deadline coming up. We got All-Star Weekend coming up. DeJounte Murray's probably going to get traded as we're recording this podcast. It's all popping off, lads.
And you know what's even crazier? What's even crazier is that he might go to the Knicks or he might go to the Lakers.
Live reaction.
Makes it even funnier.
Live reaction could be gone on this podcast. But as we start things off, how have y'all's weeks been? Earl, we can start with you because I know you've had a bad week as a Lakers fan. But that's every week, so.
I didn't go that far. Damn. They had a relatively good week. Didn't you guys catch a dub this week?
Got blown out by Brooklyn.
That too. Yeah. I don't know what to say about that one.
Yeah. Sorry, I was watching a Lonnie Walker thing on
y'all need to bring Lonnie back. Why'd y'all let Lonnie go to begin with?
We couldn't afford him at the time.
What, he got a big head?
That's when we were on the Russ Westbrook contract. We didn't have any money, so. Yeah, Lakers land, it's interesting. I feel like it's a lot of lows right now, but our lows don't compare to a lot of organizations in the world. We're still in a pretty good place. A couple moves, we'll be all set to go, and we're in the same spot last year, and we went to the Western Conference Finals. So I'm not too nervous. Got a couple things to work on, but overall, as a Lakers fan, I'm feeling pretty hopeful. We don't know what's going to happen at the deadline, and I'm pretty optimistic that we'll be okay.
If you could make one trade right now, we'll exclude Darvin Ham. I know you would fire Darvin Ham, but if you could have one player go to the Lakers, who would it be? Who's like your number one trade target?
Tyus Jones.
Ty Jones, okay.
That's
reasonable.
He's a really good point guard, and we talked about it kind of last week. Like, he has the number one, technically, turnover to assist ratio, and our team, we struggle with turnovers, especially in the guard position, and having him kind of sit next to LeBron and AD run the show. Having somebody who can actually get Anthony Davis the ball in a pick and roll will be refreshing. But yeah, he's been shooting the 3-point shot at a high percentage last month. So I'm excited if we're able to get him. I know the package is probably cheaper than we will have to pay for Javonte Murray or Murray, and who else was the other person? Zach LaVine. Just stay far away from Zach LaVine. That contract is disgusting, respectfully. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. That if I could bring one person, it would be Tyus Jones.
He's a really good connector through the offense. I feel like you guys would actually benefit from somebody like him that makes you guys a true contender that can actually win games during the regular season as well.
Yep.
Yeah. What's crazy about Tyus Jones is he's like led the NBA in turnover to assist ratio like 5 years, maybe even 5 straight years. I don't know. He's just insane. Like, he is the most efficient point guard when it comes to that. And just people sleep on him. I know he's kind of well known within NBA circles, but in terms of just like in general, no one really talks about Tyus Jones, but like, dude is who you want in a point guard. Like, he's not going to go out and drop 20 on anyone, but like, dude is going to protect the ball. He's going to hit the open man. I think basically any team in the NBA would love to have Tyus Jones. It's just unfortunate he's kind of banished to his role in Washington right now, but he's someone I think everyone would love. You mentioned another name there, Zach LaVine. I don't know who's going to take Zach LaVine. Like, I personally don't even think he's going to get traded just because I don't think there's anyone who needs him.
I think he's going to get bought out of his contract.
You can't even buy out that type of contract, bro.
Yeah, I mean, it's 4 years. Like, he's got like 120, 160 mil. You can't buy that out. That's too much. You can buy out like a 1 year, a 4 year, no.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. They're probably going to wait till he's at like a 1 year contract and then just buy him.
3 years to go.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, I mean, they'll be high schoolers by then.
Okay, but who wants to actually take that contract?
Nobody.
I think the Knicks are probably the only willing team, but Zach LaVine doesn't want to go there.
I don't think we're willing.
Nobody wants to willingly go to the Knicks unless you're traded there.
That's crazy. You know what? I'll say that because Bruce Brown said today that Bruce
Brown. Wow,
isn't that your top trade target?
Not mine. I don't own the Lakers
right now. I'm just saying though.
No.
As a general
openly campaign to come to the Knicks. He was literally like, "I'm the kind of guy that
I'm a Thibodeau guy." Like,
and what is Bruce Brown?
I don't know.
Bruce Brown
like some tampering law.
Is he an all-star? Is he a superstar? That's what I'm more likely.
He's a solid guard that could come off and provide what we need. We don't need. Our biggest misunderstanding around the league is that New York needs a star. If it stands where we are right now, we have a solid chance of making the ECF. We have a solid chance of beating the Philadelphia 76ers in 7. We have a solid chance of beating the Cleveland Cavaliers in 7. We did it last year. Philadelphia, we didn't get to see. But this year, we blew out Philadelphia, respectively, with Joel Embiid.
Regular season. You got to beat a team 4 times, Omar. You have to beat a team 4 times. In a playoff series, a great team is going to fall 1 or 2 games, but you got to beat that team 4 times. You got to make 4 adjustments to take out Joel Embiid out of a game plan. Tyrese Maxey, Tobias Harris, all those guys aren't going to have 4 bad games all at the same time. Mm-hmm. When they all click and they start winning 100%. Games, it's different than that's what I'm trying to tell you. It's a different vibe than a regular season.
But that's exactly what I'm trying to say. I don't think they're going to start doing any better than where they are right now. I think Joel Embiid is probably going to improve, yes, because he's the reigning MVP, and I think he's the best player in the NBA as it currently stands. But he doesn't have much around him, and that's what it comes down to at the end of the day, right? He has Tyrese Maxey, he has Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris, he'll give you 25 one night and then 5 the next.
All you need is one night for Tobias to have 25 and Joel to go off. That's all you need.
Okay,
you don't need
and Joel can go off. Joel got 31 and 10 against us, and we still won the game by a lot.
But I get what you're saying, Matt. I'm sorry, not Matt. Sorry, Matt. Omar, I get what you're saying, but when it comes to a playoff series, man, you have to game plan against that team 4 times.
Okay.
It's different than playing a regular season game. We won't see you, and then we'll play you again, 3-4 months later into the season. Like, it's just a different vibe.
That, I feel like you're implying that the Knicks have no chance of beating Philly.
But that's not what I said. You said that you're going to beat them in a playoff series.
I said we have a solid chance.
I'm not saying you don't have a chance. I'm just saying, like,
Max, what do you think? I want to see what
I'm just curious if y'all think Philly are contenders or not, because
I don't know.
As it is, I would put Philly as a legitimate contender, and I would put them ahead of a lot of teams that would probably surprise you. Like I'm not
putting them on top of the Bucks or the Celtics.
I would agree with that.
That's top tier. Yeah.
If I had to pick,
they're in this. I'll say this. They're
one tier under.
Yeah, they're in this limbo. I feel like if I had to place it in divisions, it would be like Boston, Milwaukee, same level. Boom. And then the next level, Philadelphia, Cleveland, New York, Miami. I
don't know if I put Cleveland in there. They got a lot of injury problems.
Cleveland, yeah, but Cleveland's up there. As it stands right now, though, they're winning. Yeah,
they're 4th with the injury problems. That's the scary thing. I know it's mostly the same team as they had last year in the playoffs, but like if they're doing this well with the injuries, I don't want to see a healthy Cleveland in the playoffs.
That is true. Yeah,
and they're not with Evan Mobley, so
that's my thought process too. Like that is true. They are 4th right now, but I would have to see like when it comes down to it. Playing a whole series, you got to be healthy for that. But right now, they do look good. They're on a nice little streak. But they have to get those guys back come playoff time for sure.
I think they will.
I think we can actually. I'll put Indiana in that top with Philadelphia, New York, and Miami. I'd put them there. I'd put Indiana there as well. Maybe a tier below that. But just because they just got Pascal, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt because Pascal is an amazing player and he's going to do awesome with Tyrese on the floor. I'm excited to see it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm excited. That's going to be interesting basketball to watch.
Yeah. I mean, this is our first podcast since the Pacers trade for Siakam. They gave up the 3 firsts and they look good so far. You know, the duo looks solid offensively. Siakam is going to have a lot more spacing to do kind of what he wants to do. Obviously, playing with Tyrese is going to make everyone better. I'm personally not a huge believer in Bruce Brown, so I don't think they gave up much in terms of talent. This is maybe a controversial take, but I think Bruce Brown is such a layup merchant. Literally, he was only good. He only became a name when he started playing with Kevin Durant, and he could just get wide open layups under the basket when they triple team Durant. And then he just goes to Denver and plays with a generational passer in Jokic that would just set him up every single possession. And then he goes to Indiana and gets to play with Tyrese Halliburton. So, like, Bruce Brown without, like, a legitimate superstar, all-time great passer next to him, I don't feel like he's that much. I feel like he's about to go to Toronto or whatever team he goes to and gets exposed. This will probably age terribly when he comes to the Knicks, and I'm rooting for him. But, like, I think Bruce Brown is quite literally a layup merchant. Like, this is Bruce Brown's whole game. It's just this and this. Maybe he'll do like a little reverse layup once in a while, but like he's got. I don't think he's got a bag. I think he's way overrated for the amount of hype that people give him. I don't know what y'all think about that, but I'm a bit of a Bruce Brown. I don't want to say hater, but I think people overrate how good he is. I don't think he's never really done much without like a generational player to set him up because he has no offensive bag whatsoever.
Yeah. I feel like personally, I don't know. I just feel like his value wise, I think everybody wouldn't mind having Bruce Brown on their team, like on a championship roster. I think that's the one key. He has
20 mil, I would mind. At 20 mil a year, I would mind.
I mean, I'm just saying, like as far as his defense and what he brings to the table. One thing I do agree, I think the contract is a little high. That's why I said I don't think it makes sense for our timetable to trade for him because we'll have to give up a D'Lo or a Reese for that type of player, and I just don't think that's what we need. But on that mid-level exception, I think a lot of teams would have went for him. I think we're one of those teams, of course. On that contract, he's a great defender. If you give him, he's a great defender.
64.
But he plays good defense. Like I'm not gonna knock his defense. Like he's better than a lot of NBA players.
He's a plus defender. I'll give him that. He is a plus defender guarding people his height. He is a plus defender.
Yeah, I'll just stick to the take of. I'll just call him a great defender for what he's worth. Yeah, he does his role. Like he's a role player. A plus tier role player. He got paid like one. He performed in playoffs. On that Nuggets team, he had the benefit of playing with Jokic, Murray, Aaron Gordon, guys like that, and his role as far as like offensively wasn't that big, but there was possessions where even versus the Lakers, he made key stops versus us. He was able to get us into like different size of matchups. We had Reeves and D'Lo out there struggling at times, and that caused him to advance around. So if you're looking to compete for a championship, you want somebody aggressive like that on defense. He can hit a three, not very, very often, but if he's open, maybe he can hit one.
A blue moon.
Yeah. But he's a good role player. So I won't knock him. I just think the contract is a little bit expensive, but there's teams out there would definitely buy into that.
For sure. I just think he's an overpaid role player. And personally, I think Indiana would do a lot better. I don't know how their lineup is going to look going forward, but I think they do better with putting Benedict Mathurin at the small forward. I'm personally a believer in Benedict Mathurin. I think he could easily grow into like a I think he's already like a borderline starter quality NBA player. And I hope he starts getting starter minutes because like he's 6'5", I think 6'6". Like he can play the small forward. You know, you got Siakam at the 4, Miles Turner at the 5. That's a big front court. So you can slide Ben Mathurin in there, get like a nice like uber athletic presence. You know, solid enough shooter, young player with a lot of room to develop. Fits kind of right in with what the Pacers are doing. So I think that would be the move that I would want them to make.
Buddy is at the 2, right?
Buddy's at the 2, yeah. So you got like Buddy Hield and Tyrese in the backcourt. Then you can slide Math at the 3, and then you run Siakam and Miles Turner. That's a scary starting 5 to me. That's a heck of a lot better than the starting 5 they were trying out before the Siakam trade. Because Siakam's probably going to go out and average 25 points a game now, playing next to Tyrese and getting the looks that he wants because the Pacers can space. I mean, that's the one thing, they play fast, but they also have great spacing. With Miles Turner at the center, obviously Tyrese is a great three-point shooter. Buddy Hield, one of the best three-point shooters in the NBA, period. So Siakam's not really known for his three, but when you're playing with guys who are, it just opens up the mid-range. He can play the low post more. He can bang inside a little bit more. He's a great cutter. So I really like the fit for Indiana. I'd say it puts them kind of in that tier, like Omar said, with like the Knicks, the Cavs, and the Heat. If I had to kind of rank the East teams, I would put like Boston, Milwaukee, and Philly kind of in that top tier. I think those are the 3 teams that are going to be contenders in the East. And then if you got like that second tier where it's like everything would have to go right for these guys to make the NBA Finals. Like the Knicks, we could, but like everything would have to fall into place and like everyone would have to play at their max capacity. Like Cleveland, they could do it if, all their guys are healthy and like Donovan Mitchell's at like an MVP kind of level. Evan Mobley and Jared Allen are doing their thing. Then you got like the Miami Heat who like they're always going to be in the conversation as long as they have Spoelstra, Butler, Bam. That core is always going to be at least there. Give them the benefit of the doubt. And then Indiana, they were good before Siakam. They're going to be even better now. So I would say they're kind of at that bottom tier. But other than that, the other 8 teams in the East, I would not say they have any chance of winning a championship, respectfully.
Yeah, of course. I agree with that. I mean, you kind of hit the hammer on that one, to be completely honest.
Maybe I'm a bit more of a believer in Philly, but I would put them as probably a top. I would put them as a contender. If we want to do like contender versus pretender, I would put them in contender. I think they are legitimately going to be a force.
Here's why I'm not sure about Philly. I'm going to just live pull up the standings real quick so I could just
Sure, yeah. I would say in the East, it's Boston, Milwaukee, and Philly. I think I would still give Milwaukee and Boston the edge, but I think Philly's going to take one of those guys to a deep 7-game series and maybe just win it.
I think
here's why I'm not sure. Philadelphia stands at 28 and 13, while the next person up is 3 games behind them.
That's a lot, considering like the gaps that you see, like with how close the rest of the NBA is. 3-game difference is actually kind of a lot right now. Yeah. You look at how close the rest of basically all the teams are. In the West, there's like 4 games between 3 and 11, basically.
Yeah, that's true. It was the same way last year. Don't get me wrong. And again, it's like one more. If we win one more game, we're ahead of Cleveland, and we're
right. But there's kind of that gap. Like it seems like Philly's closer to those top 2 than they are everyone else.
And we got to count too, like how many of those games did they lose when Embiid was out for that time too?
Exactly. Yeah. If Joel's healthy, and listen, obviously, Joel will be the first to say he's not had the greatest playoffs, but he's been banged up a lot in the playoffs. So if you have healthy Joel Embiid in the playoffs, I think this narrative about Embiid being like, bad in the playoffs or he doesn't have what it takes to win a championship, I think that's complete nonsense. They said the same thing about Giannis before he won, then he won. So then they switched off to Jokic, and now he won. So now all those haters are just coming at Embiid. And, as soon as he wins a championship, finals MVP, they'll move on to doing that to Shea or Luka, Yeah. And, the greats will eventually prove them wrong. And I believe Embiid is absolutely an all-time great. It's only a matter of time before he has that signature playoff run. And it could be this year, Now that he's got Maxey as a running mate, that might just be the fit that he needs to unlock, that 35 and 12 with 5 blocks self in the playoffs.
Right. So I want to go for it. My bad.
No, I was just gonna say, I feel like Philly is still in the big 3, man. Like anytime you have one of those players on your roster, like a Joel, a Jokic, a Luka type player, a Shea, like you always have a chance. If you give those guys a playoff series, I think they've earned the respect enough to have the benefit of the doubt of being able to advance in a round or 2. So I think Embiid, healthy Embiid, he gets to the playoffs. I mean, we're talking about a dude who was averaging 40 and 4. I think it was like 40 and 15 in the month of December. Yeah. And then he got hurt. Of course, they lost games in between, and the standings are a little bit different now. But if he didn't get hurt in that stretch of games, and then when it's 5 or 4 games, something like that, 6 games, somewhere in between there.
Something like that.
I mean, who knows how many of those games they win and where they are in the seedings.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is he just came back, first game back from injury, and I think he had 35 and 10 again.
Yep.
Just right back to, all-time great, MVP caliber.
Exactly.
He's just a monster. There is just no stopping that guy. So I would be way more confident in Philly contending for a championship than a lot of teams out west.
100%.
In the West.
I agree.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. It's just they lack something. You know what I mean?
They don't have the proven experience. I'll give you that. The one thing they don't have is that, they haven't been to a conference finals or an NBA finals like Boston or Milwaukee has. But they've been in the playoffs enough to where I think they're better.
That's why everybody is saying right now that they think that a lot of teams can beat Philly. I feel like 4, 5, and 6, where they're standing right now, the Cleveland Knicks and Heat, do have a solid chance to take Philly out of the playoffs.
I would say they do, but I still like Philly in those series. I'm not going to say there's no chance, obviously, but if I'm betting on a favorite, I'm betting Philly there every time. None of those teams have a that can really
you can't forget about how the Pacers could play against them as well,
The Pacers are just a wild card in the East because, if they play, I guarantee you one thing, Milwaukee does not want to see them in the first round. Because for whatever reason, the Pacers just beat Milwaukee every single time they play. I don't know what it is.
They're too fast for them.
They just don't have it. I guess that's it. They just have Milwaukee's number. I don't know if that'll be different now that they have Siakam. It might be even better. They might just blow Milwaukee out the water. So, they could just come out and flame in the first round. They could come out and unseat a Milwaukee in the first round. And you just don't know what you're going to get from them, I feel.
Yeah. That's what happened with Miami. That's why everybody thought they were going to get blown out, and they mollywopped them. So it doesn't.
They got mollywopped like heck.
Hell yeah, shit.
Miami just got
was for 3 games too, right? Or was it
Miami just got Murray the other night too?
Yeah,
Miami just got Murray the other night. Yeah,
2 teams got Murray back to back.
They did back to back.
It that saved DeJounte's Atlanta career.
Yeah, Murray's on fire. Murray definitely does not want to get traded for some reason. I feel like he's still I don't know. I mean, he's a really good player. His contract is really valuable, and I think he can be. I feel like he can be better than Trey. if he was by himself.
I just feel like they just don't work together. They both have the same type of role. They're both dominant point guards. That's what they're supposed to be doing. You seen on the Spurs, he was playing so good. Like Max mentioned the other, I think like last week.
Yeah.
He was playing so good. They had to trade him because they were winning games they weren't supposed to be winning. And that's how they were able to go get Wemby and stuff like that. He's a great point guard. It's just, you see them together. Trae Young and Murray just don't have that chemistry. And that's okay. Like, they can both thrive on different teams. And I think that's what the Hawks are trying to come to that decision to trade one of those guys. And they have to trade Murray, man. You really have to just stick with Trae Young. I feel like he's younger. He's a proven scorer, playmaker, no matter what people say. He's able to do both of those things. And you just got to build around that and Jalen Johnson right now. So I think Murray, they'll get some type of package from him, regardless of what team it is, that fits well. I think they just need to trade for like a natural two guard, in my opinion. Like if they're going to make any type of deal, they need somebody who's good at playing that two guard position, and maybe like maybe another big if they decide to trade Capella, start Big O, and let him do his thing. So I think that's kind of the direction they have to go in.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Can I just give a quick shout out to the Utah Jazz for just playing absolutely amazing basketball as of late? Like Utah has just dragged themselves from like the ugly depths of the West and being surrounded by like the Portlands and the Memphises of the world. They're now legitimately not just in like the playoff picture, like they're in the hunt to get a top 6 seed. Like they're, sorry, Earl, ahead of the Lakers right now. They're 9th in the West. They're like, 2 games back of being in a locked-in playoff spot, and they've been playing fabulous. Like Lowry, he was out for a while, I know, and that's when they were really taking those dive when Lowry was out, but he's back and playing great basketball. Chris Dunn is like untapping potential we forgot he had. Like back when he and Lowry were on the Bulls, they were like the 7th and 8th guys. Now you got Chris Dunn playing great defense. He's getting like a ton of assists. Colin Sexton's had a really good season. He's playing really well. They took Taylor Horton-Tucker out of the rotation, and they got 10 times better. Like Utah's just playing really well. Like Will Hardy, I think that's the name of their coach. Will Hardy has these guys playing great basketball right now.
Definitely.
So
I'll say this. I've seen it before, Max. I can't be fooled twice, Max. I need to see this in March in the season. Max, this is the same thing that happened last year. Same exact spot. Jazz killing it. I need them to see it.
No, they were in first at one point. That's why we were thinking, but they were
all the way from the top. The fall off was insane. Like I said it before, I won't ever underestimate the Jazz again. I said that last season because they're a really great team when they act like they know how to play basketball. But at some point in the season, a switch is just flipped and things just go bad. Hopefully it's not this season. I really want to see a lot of these younger teams get a chance to go on playoff runs, build experience. Like it's good for the NBA. It's good to grow that brand in basketball. Maybe you'll have more people trying to go to Utah. Probably not. I mean, but like it just creates that type of environment. Like you got to show that you can win, and it brings attention to your organization, especially for a small market team. So it's good for the NBA. But my message to the Jazz is keep it up, man. If you want to be competitive in the Wild Wild West, you got to show up. You got to keep that spot, and you got to make it and contain it all the way to the playoffs because you don't want to be a play-in team. There's only a few dogs who can make it out the play-in and make playoff runs. Lakers, even though we shouldn't be there in the first place. But it takes a lot. You got to win out twice. You can't lose. And then you got to play a fully rested playoff team the next round. And those guys are ready to go at you. And 9 times out of 10, it's a top 1, 2, 3 seed. So it's a lot of work. So for the Jazz, I would challenge them to secure a playoff spot and have one of those teams from the bottom try to play them. And maybe they can sneak around. But I really am happy with the Jazz and what they've been doing. That's a good thing to bring up.
Do we think it's realistic for them to get a top 6 seed? Like, do y'all think that should be on the cards? Or is it really just like if they even make the play and like that's a successful season? Because like I was thinking of them as like guaranteed 13th seed, maybe even below San Antonio. Like I did not think
because this whole thing started because they wanted to rebuild, right? So they're not even supposed to really be in this situation.
True. They got the picks and they got the talent now, so they're in a weird mix. Not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
Like they got all the picks from the Mitchell, Rudy Gobert stuff. Like they're in a really great spot. They have a whole lot of draft picks. They have a lot of great tradable assets too. Whenever they want to make trades, they can make trades. Like they're in a weird spot, like in between rebuild, but we have really decent players that the NBA world kind of covets, like all around the league. Who doesn't want a Jordan Clarkson? Who doesn't want a marketing? Like, people want these guys. I won't say the same for John Collins, respectfully. I forgot he was on the Jazz until I watched the game. But we don't
talk about John Collins.
Yeah.
Because Jalen Johnson is just a better version of him.
Way better, bro. I'm telling you, when we had that conversation, Jalen Johnson is what the Hawks thought John Collins would be. No ego. Better, honestly, better playmaker, better rebounder, better defender. Just a natural scorer. So Hawks really, that might be the Hawks' best move they made in the last couple of years. After Trae Young
was trading John Collins for Rudy Gay in a second. That was
really because he would have never. Jalen Johnson would have never played this much minutes if John Collins was still in the roster right now. He would have never got a chance.
I'm a believer in addition by subtraction, so that could be a thing. But yeah, shout out Utah. They've just been playing great, and the fact that we're even talking about them right now as a team that could like be ahead of Phoenix and Golden State and the Lakers, is insane to me.
We talk about Utah more than we do the Timberwolves.
Speaking of who's been playing great, last time I came on this podcast, I took a shit on Julius Randle.
Oh, here we go. He has one good game back, and now he's back on the wagon.
It's not about that, though. It's not about that.
Are you talking about the hug between him and
no,
Brunson?
Come on. We're an actual basketball podcast. We're not going to talk about the him. We're not going to talk about them hugging and looking.
I'm just saying that's what Knicks fans love.
Hey, Randall's just wholesome. When he's got his son, I will say his son with the post game is wholesome.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Listen, I saw him. Yes, just turning the ball over a lot. I will say that. But it wasn't on the stupid shot selection. He wasn't worried about taking the shot as much. As far as what I saw last night, he wasn't worried about it. Most of those were bad passes. Yes, you got to make this decision. You got to pass the ball. Sometimes you miss. It's okay. You got to move on with the play. And that's just what happened last night. I was just happy to see it. You know what? I was just happy to see it because it showed me that it at least
is possible.
Yes, because it wasn't about him taking shots last night.
Nah, you know what? He had a triple-double and we blew him out. So I'm not.
It doesn't even have to be like a high number for it to be a triple-double. Like he could do and he said earlier, on the game after, the post game after that, he said he felt great. He said he felt amazing about it, even though he didn't get 20 points, even though he grabbed 14 rebounds and grabbed 10 assists. That's amazing for him. I think that's great.
I hope we see more of this, Randall. We probably won't, though. I'm not holding out hope. It was one game. But you know what? One game is better than nothing. And that was the best game I've seen him play all year. So I'm sure we'll just go right back down to reality the next game. But I will still say I wish we saw more of this. I hope we see more of this.
That's why I had to go get my boy Randall back. My favorite NBA player had to come back home.
Man. I don't even want to talk about the freaking
welcome home, Randall.
I don't even want to talk about the monopoly you absolutely have on this league.
Stop it. I'm not even a top 3 team in the league, bro.
Yeah, you are.
I'm really not.
I feel like our fantasy league is so shambles because there's half the league has all the talent and then the bottom half is either inactive or has nobody.
All I'm saying is whoever gets Brennan's roster next year, they're going to be blessed.
That's true. One of our dudes is inactive, but he has a really good team. So
yeah, right? He does have
I feel like everybody who's been kind of – side note, guys, we're just talking about fantasy.
Yeah, but we have a fantasy league.
The league is in a really good place. I'll say that. Mm-hmm. It's in a really good place. It's active.
Because it's active. It's everybody's arguing.
We're gonna
It's so fun.
Yeah.
We're the real trade. Our league ramps up at the trade deadline just
we had special appearances this week.
Oh, yeah.
Shout out to the Pauls and Emilys of the world.
Hey, look, though. I'll say this, though. If anybody's ever interested in pulling up to the league, we got you.
Sorry, there's a motorcycle on over
here. We will have spots this offseason.
We will have spots this offseason. If you're interested, apply. We got you.
I will be doing. No, I will have a form. I will have a form.
You gonna do a form?
Yeah. I will have a form.
Are we gonna have to fill it out?
No,
because we still don't know who Shams is, and that's the great mystery.
Name required.
Absolutely.
Guy incognito.
Austin Pines, but
first name, last name is what it starts off with.
Hell yeah. But yeah, back to some NBA stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Looking at like the standings are looking pretty. They've been pretty consistent. I think Dallas has dropped a couple spots in the standings. New Orleans has honestly been impressive. They're kind of putting themselves up there in like that 4 or 5 conversation. Sacramento still looks solid. I think Sacramento definitely could be a team to watch at the deadline in terms of making trades because they're like in that realm of like they're close. They're just not quite there yet. But I could totally see them trying to move Herter or maybe even like a Keegan Murray. If they can get like a proven star to kind of accelerate this like process, they might just want to say, you know what, we'll cash in our Keegan Murray chips right now and go get ourselves a 3rd All-Star to put next.
Yeah, they would have done that with Pascal if that was the case.
That is true. You could fact that they missed Pascal. I think Pascal would have been a great fit for them. I know we talked about he is in Indy, but he would have been a great fit in Sacramento as well.
I feel like the reports are somewhat off, right? So the reports are stating that it fell through because Pascal was saying that he wouldn't re-sign with them, which, yeah, you know what? That's a fair reason, but I also think they're lying a little bit.
Nobody wants to play for Sacramento.
I also think it's because they wanted Keegan Murray and they didn't want to put him in because Keegan Murray is really good and he's a cornerstone for that franchise. So I wouldn't be surprised if they don't move him at all.
Yeah. I think I said this guy should have gone to Sacramento in the darn offseason, and now he's in trade rumors again. So I feel like this could be the chance to, make right on his first mistake. I think Kuzma in Sacramento would be awesome. Like they're looking for that kind of guy. Just spark plug, 20 points. He doesn't have to play, a heck of a lot of defense. Sacramento's not really a defensive oriented team. Obviously Mike Brown does the best. I think his defensive scheme is good, but they don't really have great individual defenders. They're kind of similar to Indiana, A lot of people last year applauded Sacramento for having, this great offense, this fast-paced offense, and they showed. They took Golden State, a good team, into 7 games in the playoffs, and, they wound up with the 3 seed. So I feel like Kuzma could fit into that 4 spot right there, keep doing what he's been doing. He doesn't have to put up, 85 in a game for them to win like he does on Washington, but he can go just be that 3rd guy behind, the Fox and Sabonis. And he's never going to be an all-star, but he could be a very solid 3rd piece. Kind of like what Tobias Harris is doing right now in Philadelphia. I feel like he could carve. Yeah. Obviously, they're different players, but in terms of role and production, I feel like Kuzma could carve himself out a very solid niche of that Sacramento team. And they could definitely make a run in the playoffs. Sacramento, if they got Kuzma, could absolutely see them winning a playoff series this year. And that would be huge for that franchise, considering what they didn't make the playoffs to begin with for 16 years. And now we're talking about them as a team that could go to the 2nd round. Like, that's awesome for Sacramento.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of feels like the Knicks.
In a little bit, yeah. In a weird way.
I love the Knicks.
No, you don't. You hate them with all your heart.
I don't hate anybody or anything right now. I'm in a good space.
I don't even want to talk about the times you just take to just giant shit on the Knicks. All those times I remember.
It wouldn't be worth the time or effort.
You already did it.
We got All-Star Weekend coming up as well. Do y'all have any hot All-Star takes, guys you think this should be in that won't make it, or guys that will make it that shouldn't be in there? Any reactions to the 3rd list of voting? The voting list came out. They're basically the same. The 3rd returns are probably always going to be the same as the 2nd. So Lakers overrepresented as always, but what else is new?
I do think Jalen Brunson will overtake Tyrese Maxey, but I think he'll just
not a chance.
Or something. Yeah, definitely.
You think he's going to overtake him in All-Star votes?
Yeah.
Okay.
If it would have happened, it would have already happened. I think he's more. I think Jalen will make
you guys have to look at the numbers difference. It's only like 32,000 off. And
let me look at the 3rd return.
It was slowly decreasing. So he might.
Do you have a link to it right now?
The last round of voting, which I'm actually going to do right now. So
Jalen why don't you also look up the voting returns?
But he's going to look up the voting returns.
100%. I don't know. Is Tyrese an All-Star this year? I don't know.
Yeah, no, he's number 1. He's definitely going to the All-Star game. Like, there's no
You'd
doubt.
say he's a lock.
Yeah, no, he's a lock.
He's number 1. He's a lock.
Like, I think he's pretty much as lock as you can say in the locked NBA world, if I'm being honest.
Literally, bro. I think everybody thinks that Tyrese deserves to be an All-Star.
Really?
Yes.
Am I just sleeping on Tyrese?
You are, bro. He's number 1 in the NBA in assists, and he's averaging like 25 a game.
Is he really? Damn. Maybe I'm
he averages he averages 13 assists a game, Max.
Wow, that is good. But it's like, all right, are you taking Dame out for him?
Yes.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tyrese over Dame? I gotta go look at
it. It took Dame a while to kind of get going.
That is true. It did.
Tyrese started from day 1 of the season.
I'll say this. I feel like the East goes like this. I feel like it's Tyrese, Jalen Brunson, Trae Young, Dame Lillard.
Trae Young's definitely
Wait a second. I should have clarified. I meant Tyrese Maxey.
Oh, no. I'm talking about Tyrese Halliburton. My bad.
Sorry. Because we were talking about like Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Maxey. I'm sorry. That's
you have me totally confused.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a second. Is Tyrese Maxey really averaging 13 assists a game? I'm like, when did this happen?
No. Yeah, that's what we have to specify.
Hallie is a lock, 100%. I'm not sleeping that hard. No, I meant Tyrese Maxey.
I was about to say Max.
Yeah,
kind of know this, buddy.
No. Tyrese is in there. Halliburton is in. I'm talking about Maxey. Do you think Maxey should be an all-star this year?
I feel like it's
borderline.
Look, I feel like it's deserved, but I feel like he's just gonna miss it just because of the sheer talent in the East.
Right. I mean, that's why I was asking, like, are you taking Dame Lillard out for Tyrese Maxey? Are you taking Trae Young out for Tyrese Maxey? Are you taking Donovan Mitchell out or Jalen Brunson out or Halliburton out? Because if the answer to that is no, there's basically no spots left.
All of those guys, no. Every single one, even Trae Young.
I'm trying to, Trae Young, it has 1.449 million votes. So, yeah.
But again, remember, the voting, and this is what I think is so stupid about the All-Star voting, why I don't personally
You also have to remember that coaches get a vote as well, and their votes weigh much more heavy.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. The fan vote, as far as I'm aware, only matters for the starters. It only decides the starters. And once the starters are decided, the fan vote goes away. It doesn't impact anything. It's just the coaches, I think. So it feels there's no point in voting because, like, you're never going to vote, let's say, like in a Jalen Brunson case or a Tyrese Halliburton case. They're never going to vote, the established, the Jokic's, the Brons, the MBs. The starters are basically locked. Unless your name is Andrew Wiggins and you got all the K-pop stands on your side.
I think All-Star voted actually ended.
So there's no point in wasting my vote for guys like, if Jalen Brunson gets up to like 4th or 5th in the voting, he's not going to get in the starters. And then those fan votes go away, and then it's just the coaching ballot. So it's like, why am I going to go vote for the guys that I think are deserved when they're not going to get it anyways? And my fan vote isn't going to decide the bench. Like, I don't think, this guy should be a starter. I don't think, trying to think of a good example. Like, Paul George shouldn't be an all-star starter, but he should still be on the all-star team. But
I got you guys.
It doesn't matter because the coaches are just going to pick the bench anyways.
I have the list here. And if we're talking about front court and then back court, like starting wise.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just name the first 3 in each, or first 4 of like front court, back court, guards. Okay.
Sure. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so front court for the West, we got Bron, of course, Jokic, of course, KD and AD. Those are the top 4.
Right.
Western guards.
No point in voting for anyone else. You want to vote for Zion? Doesn't matter.
Yeah, he'll be probably on the bench level.
Guards. That's what I'm saying. Let's say Zion finishes in like that 5th to 6th range. That he's not good enough to be in the top 3, so he's not going to start. And then the fan votes go away, and it's just the coaches mattering. So unless you're literally top 2 or 3 in the fan vote in your section, it's irrelevant. It's not like the fan vote plays any weight in the bench at all. So it's like, why am I voting?
I mean, I think the way they do it is it's a percentage either way. Even with these,
even a percent of the bench.
No, I'm just saying, I'm pretty sure it's all just a percentage. Like they take in these votes and they count it by coach voting and stuff like that too. They have a percentage, and then I think media has a vote too. But it's all like weighted.
I think we have 10%. I think
of what? The bench or starters?
Everything.
I think in general
of voting, because obviously I feel like everybody that's selected to be a starter is eventually going to be elected to the bench. Like, it's not like that's not going to happen.
No, but what I'm saying is, like, I thought the starters were 100% decided by fan vote.
I have no idea on that, if I'm being honest. But I will say,
I'm trying to figure this out.
If we're talking about guards, since I wanted to bring that up again, I'll just read some of the East guards.
Yeah.
Number 1 in guards on the East is Tyrese Halliburton, and number 2 is going to be Trae Young. Then after that is Dame, Donovan Mitchell, Tyrese Maxey, Jalen Brunson after that, Derek White, LaMelo, Drew Holiday, and DeMar. And those bottom guys probably aren't going to sniff the All-Star game, respectfully. It's probably going to be Tyrese, Trae, Dame, Donovan Mitchell, and either Tyrese or Jalen Brunson. That's probably where they're going to stop this.
So the fan vote is 50%.
Oh, okay.
The player vote is 25%.
Okay.
And then the media vote is another 25%.
All right. So Trae Young's a lock.
Of the starters. And then it says the 7 reserves per conference will be selected by the head coaches. Okay. So fan vote does not.
It says fans, NBA players, and starters. Okay, so here's what it says. Fans, NBA players, and media are participating in selecting an NBA All-Star Game starters. Players and media can only submit one ballot. Reserves are voted by the 30 head coaches.
Okay, that's cool.
So that's my point. Our vote only impacts the starters. And again, unless your name is Andrew Wiggins, the starters are basically a foregone conclusion. The place where the fan vote should matter is the bench, the fringe guys who, like the 50-50, those where our fan vote should matter. But it doesn't, because the fan vote is just, the bench is just the coaches. So why am I going to go put, a fringe guy like a Jalen Brunson or a Tyrese Maxey or a Zion or a DeMontis Sabonis? Why am I going to go vote for them when we know they're not making the starters? And
that's
my
the thing.
fan vote has no impact on the bench. It feels pointless.
I feel like nothing is really pointless. It's really if it came down to it, and there was a whole bunch of Jalen Brunson fans in the world, and they all voted consistently every single day, the vote returns will come back with a high number. That's just the fact.
But that's not going to happen. Like I said, unless it's like an Andrew Wiggins scenario.
No, I'm saying that's what I'm saying. Like if you have the votes, you have the votes. Basically, the starters is just like a popularity contest. Guys who have the most young fans around the world who go out there and submit a bunch of votes. That's basically what it is. That's what it's always been.
Right, but I feel like as a fan, I want to be able to vote. Like Bron is going to be in there no matter what. Jokic is going to be in there no matter what. Like you said, the KDs, Stephs, they're going to be there no matter what. As a fan, I'm not worried about them missing the game. I'm worried about the guys who I think won't get a lot of attention, but should be in the game. That should be the point of the fan vote, is for the underrated guys. But it doesn't matter because the underrated guys are never going to outseat the top ones. And then the bench where the underrated guys should be get decided by the coaches.
I have an interesting question for you guys.
What's up?
So, do you remember that situation that took place a couple of years ago where a whole nation decided to vote on one person?
Yes, Wiggins. That's what I'm saying. That's the only time that you will ever see this work is when you get an entire population.
You're wrong. Respectfully, of course. You're wrong.
Okay.
And you know why you're wrong? Because I'm talking about Zaza Pachulia. And then they kicked him out. And then they kicked him out. No, they kicked him out of the All-Star game in general because they felt like he didn't deserve it.
I don't remember this.
He didn't get the votes. I don't think he got enough votes. That's okay. So let's say there is a player. Okay, let's say there is a player like Zaza Pachulia. The fans really wanted. He probably was in the top 6 or 7 vote getters, but he wasn't enough to get the starter, to get the designation of starter.
If that was,
and then of course the coaches didn't vote for him.
If that was the case, man, then Victor would be number one in our top 3 in overall votes if all of France was voting for Victor. But that's just not the case right now. He's 7th? I don't know what overall total.
And he's not going to
be a starter.
But he's not going to make the All-Star game, period. Even though a bunch of people think he should.
Sure. That's what I'm saying.
It's a flawed system.
I just feel like either way, it could be a little bit better, but I just think, I don't know. I never really had too much thought into it. I usually just put one vote out.
Here's how I think it should work. It should be, you run the fan vote, however you want to calculate that, you run the fan vote, fine. The head coaches and let's say the GMs, players, whatever, and the media, that circle. You have those guys decide the 10 all-star players. They pick the first 10 spots, 1 through 10. You can have them do their starters and their bench.
So let me say this, because 2017, this is Ben Golliver in 2017. It says 2017 NBA All-Star Game. West leaders in fan vote: Steph Curry, James Harden, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, Zaza Pachulia. So in the front court, it was Kevin Durant with 1.7 million, and then it was Zaza Pachulia with 1.5 million.
Was that the final returns?
That was saying not named All-Star starters.
So Durant wasn't a star. What is this? I don't know what you're trying to say,
No,
I don't know what your point is here.
No.
Yeah, I'm confused.
Okay, you figure that out.
This is what I'm reading from the tweet. The tweet is saying stuff about Steph Curry, James Harden, Kevin Durant. I was right. What are you guys talking about?
Okay, but what's your point?
No,
I'm saying, what do you mean?
Like, why is this?
Put it together. What do these numbers mean?
I'm saying that he wasn't named an all-star because there was a change apparently between that time that got it to that point, to the 50%, 20%, 20%. And it says here that Zaza Pachulia takes credit for change in NBA All-Star voting. Call it for Zaza rules.
Okay, cool. But okay, I don't care about the Zaza rules. My point
I was stuck on the Zaza rule.
My point is that I think they could have the NBA, the players and the media and the coaches, should be mostly the coaches and the GMs.
Yeah.
I think that's, who are most impact. But you can have the players and have them decide the top 10, okay? Those are the top 10 that are locked in. And then to decide the last 2 spots in each conference, they should go to the most voted players that were not locked in by, that were not already pre-selected by the coaches. So let's say Zion Williamson, winds up, 7th in the fan vote. Let's just say he winds up 7th. And all 6 guys ahead of him are named to the All-Star team by the coaches, but he's not. He would then get in to, he would get one of those last 2 spots in his conference via the fan vote because the fans really wanted to see him in. That's the point of the fan vote, to see the guys in the big game who other people are sleeping on, who the coaches are sleeping on, the fan favorites. That should be the point of the fan vote, is to get guys in who wouldn't already be in. Right now, the fan vote is pointless because all the people who are leading the top of the fan votes are going to be in regardless. It doesn't matter who finishes 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, because those guys won't make it anyways. They're not going to be named starters, and they're not going to get picked by the coaches. So if we do it like this, where the fan vote decides the last 2 spots, and it's the top voted guys who weren't already locked in, then there's an incentive to okay, I'm going to go vote for Victor. I'm going to go vote for Derek White. I'm going to go vote for Porzingis. Because you know what? Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are going to be in there no matter what. But my vote could make a difference between getting Porzingis, one of those last 2 locked in spots, and not. That's what I think would make a meaningful fan vote. Because right now I look at the returns, I'm like, this doesn't matter. We already know who the starters are. And nothing below 3 on those lists ultimately matters. It doesn't matter whether Jalen Brunson.
If everybody took that approach, but okay, I understand what you're saying, and I get it. Too. But if everybody took that approach, then people who don't really deserve to be an all-star over those players won't be an all-star.
We're still giving 10 spots to the coaches and the media, so that should lock in the confirmed top guys. Will still make it no matter what.
True. I think I see what you're saying, Max, and I could see that. Maybe you have 1 or 2 spots on each side that are purely fan votes to get your favorite guy in. I think that'd be cool. And then the rest of those spots are just purely decided on the coaches. I see what you mean. Yeah, but I feel like when you start going more than that, then it starts to get into the troll range.
I would even be down for 1 spot. If you wanted to just have them name 11 and there's 1 fan vote per conference, I'd even be fine with that. But, it's just if I'm going to sit down and make my ballot right now, okay, I could vote for Bron and Jokic and, Giannis, but they're going to be in there no matter what. I could vote for, Brunson, Mikal Bridges, Zion. Those are just names I keep using, but the fringe all-star guys. But I'm those votes are never going to out-accumulate the top guys. And as soon as the top guys are chosen, the fan vote becomes irrelevant. It's just the coaches who decide the bench. Yep. So what is my point of voting? If we did it this way, where it's you let, the majority is picked by the coaches and then the fan vote are just the top voted remaining guys, someone who finishes 9th or 10th in voting, there's a reason to vote for those guys who are going to finish 9th or 10th or 11th or 12th in voting. Because depending on the other ones, that might be what gets them into the game. And ultimately, that's what the fan vote is. Every fan knows that, KD is good enough to be in the All-Star game. Why are we voting on him? And that's what I'm saying. I'm sorry to take up so much of this episode on this rant, but this has made me upset for so long that this is how the NBA does the All-Star vote. It just makes me mad, and everyone's like, oh, go vote for your favorite player. Go vote for Julius Randle and Jalen Brunson. I'm like, bro, we're not getting them in the starters anyways. It doesn't matter. They're never going to start, and as soon as, the starters are picked, it doesn't matter anymore. Our votes literally do not matter.
I can see that.
As a Knicks fan.
Yeah.
But any team. I'm sure there's a ton of teams that have players. Take a team out west. Look at Chet. Let's say Thunder fans want to get Chet in the game. They have no chance of getting Chet in the game unless he's going to go out and beat KD and Bron. You're telling me Chet's going to beat Bron in votes? No. That's his only way to get into the All-Star game. But if we do my system, maybe Chet could be, 10th, 11th, 12th and get in via, he's the highest voted guy that wasn't picked by the coaches. It gives an incentive for these fan bases to vote for their fringe all-stars.
I feel you, Max. I really do. I got you.
I know I'm probably preaching to the choir, but
it's
been my pet peeve for the longest time. It just makes the lead up to All-Star Weekend feel irrelevant with the fan vote. And they're doing 3-for-1 days. I'm like, guys, y'all are missing the problem. You can vote as much as you want. We're not changing anything unless you get an entire country of Korea behind Andrew Wiggins. That's it.
That's what it takes. If you really love your player, you'll sacrifice everything to get him to the All-Star game.
That's the only thing.
Put up flyers around the city, man. Text every group 17 times a day. If you want your guy Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle to get in there, you got to put in the work, man.
Yep.
Got to put in the dedication.
If you want Brunson voted in, if you want your Brunson vote to matter, he has to beat Halliburton and Donovan Mitchell and Damian Lillard, which respectfully is just not happening. And it's like, you don't even get to vote for a bench. That's another thing. You don't get to vote for the bench. You only vote for the starters. Like, if I want to put Brunson in my ballot, that means I'm picking him over two guards who are clearly more qualified than him. But I only get, I'm only voting for the starters. So I can't designate okay, I think this guy should be a bench player.
I mean, I'm sure he'll be on the bench. Though.
Oh, he will. No, he will. Brunson's the guy I think
I'm
he
sure
will be in there. I'm just using him as an example as a Knicks fan. It's those guys where it's they should come off the bench. But my choice as a fan to vote for him is either vote him over Tyrese Halliburton, which I shouldn't do, or just don't vote for him at all. But it doesn't even matter either way because of the stupid voting system. So it's just a cluster. It really is just a cluster.
I see your point, but again, I just have to I wish Jalen Brunson was a bit higher. I'm not gonna say I don't, but
Trae Young,
I feel it. Trae Young, shit. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Well, but Trae Young's probably not gonna start. Trae Young probably won't start.
He might.
I guess he might.
If he's top two in guards, then
I think there's gonna be a lot of coaches in the NBA that don't end up voting for him.
He's gonna be a starter, so he doesn't need to vote.
Yeah,
there you go. There's another example. Trae Young,
okay, but you have to understand that
if the coaches hold a vendetta against him, bang, he's done because he's not going to start.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, I feel like there's a lot of coaches in the NBA that will end up not voting for Trae Young. I think a lot of people in the NBA.
That's where the fan votes come in. He's already got, if it's 50% on fan votes, he's already number 2 in guards and fan votes anyway. So whatever happens after that, it kind of already outweighs.
That 25% can weigh high though.
I mean, we don't know what the coaches are going to vote.
Half of that 50.
Right.
Half a year thing with Trae Young is you just don't like him, but you can't ignore the stats.
I don't
he's
think
top.
He's a win player, but
he's number. It's not about that's not what All-Star Weekend is, bro. It's about what you bring as an individual.
Oh, that's another thing. I'm sorry. Can I rant again real quick? That's another thing that upsets me to hell. I hate it when people say this team deserves 2 All-Stars because they're number 1 in the conference, or this team should have 2
it's not about that. Yeah,
I hate that. It is an All-Star game. I want to see All-Star players. The rest of the season, we can applaud Minnesota for being the number 1 seed, and Karl-Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert will reap the benefits of being the number 1 seed when it comes playoff time. In the All-Star game, it is an individual performance. We should not be handing out flyers to guys who are the 2nd or 3rd best players on top teams in the conference. Minnesota will be represented at All-Star Weekend by Anthony Edwards.
That's how it should be.
The Thunder will be represented by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. That is how it should be. We should not force feed one of 12 All-Star spots to designate the best players in the NBA. We should not force feed that spot to Karl-Anthony Towns or Chet Holmgren just because their team happens to be the number 2 seed. I hate people who keep that narrative. Oh, they're winning players. BS. The Lakers should have 2 All-Stars despite being at the bottom of the conference because Bron and AD carry that team week in and week out. The Suns probably should have 2 All-Stars. Booker and Durant should be in there despite being at the bottom. You're telling me you're going to knock Booker and AD out the All-Star game at the expense of Karl-Anthony Towns and Chet Holmgren just because their teams have better coaches and better supporting casts. For the rest of the season, the Lakers and the Suns suffer from not, Booker and AD will suffer from not having a good supporting cast. For once, All-Star Weekend, let's give them their flowers. We can at least let them play in the darn All-Star game, right?
Thank you. Max is speaking facts. Thank you. Last year, they tried to bring up the argument that Jaren Jackson played more. He played 2 more games, and Anthony Davis beat him in every statistical category except for blocks. And they said that's why he was in opposed to Anthony Davis. I don't want to hear that. Nobody wants to watch Jaren Jackson Jr. Exactly. He did nothing. He doesn't bring anything as an individual, offensive minded player. That's what All-Star Weekend is. Offensive bag. People forget when Anthony Edwards was on the Pelicans and it was an All-Star game and he put up like 50 points because it was fun to watch. He was shooting threes, he was doing dunks. Like, he's just that guy. I think he owns like 2 of the highest scoring things in the All-Star Weekend. Like, he's the guy you want around during those type of games. It's just fact.
It should be the All-Star game should be the best statistical players in the NBA right now. It should be the top 25 players in the NBA, basically, because it's 12 per conference. So if you're a top 25 NBA player, you should be in the All-Star game, regardless of where your team is in the standings. Trae Young should be in there, even though the Hawks are terrible right now. I don't want to hear Derek White, who's the 5th best player on Boston, getting in there because Boston's the number 1 seed. Bro, that's cool. But Boston should have 1, maybe 2 All-Stars. It should be Tatum, maybe Brown, maybe. But there's so many other talented guys in there that I would put over Brown. So it's like, just because the Celtics are the 1 seed doesn't mean that they just inherently deserve it. This is All-Star Weekend. It's about the players. It's not about the teams. So I'm sorry. I've just hijacked this episode. This is my All-Star rant episode. Fix All-Star Weekend. Thank you for coming.
I love that. Thank you. Speaking of facts, nobody wants to see Derek White in the All-Star game. No offense to Derek White. Great player. He's going to contribute a lot to that championship run. The All-Star Weekend, we want to see the bag. Like, that was so fun when we seen Curry versus, like, Curry going up, pulling for 3. And then on the other side, Trae Young was pulling up these 3. Like, we want to see stuff like that. Damian Lillard, like, all those guys, we want them in the All-Star game. They bring a fun value to it.
Legitimate question. Will Curry be in the All-Star game because of how bad Golden State is? Will that keep him out the All-Star game?
100% he'll be in. No, he'll be in for sure. Like, it's just, like you said, it's about the player. At times, you got to separate records and stuff. That's not what it's about. And shout out to Tyrese Halliburton, too, because isn't the All-Star games in Indiana, right?
Yeah.
Yo, so shout out to him not being a charity vote. He earned his way to being an All-Star starter in his city, bro. In his city, he did a great job. So, because he could have been a thing where it's like, oh, we have to let one in because they're there. That's where the All-Star game is. But he earned his way in as a key player to the All-Star game. So shout out to Tyrese, man.
Tyrese, yeah.
And while I'm on an All-Star rank, can I just a couple more things? I'll just throw this in there. Fix the dunk contest. I don't know how you can convince players.
Okay, you know, I have to. You know what? I have to agree with that. And you know why? I feel like we should be voting on those types of competitions too.
But they still gotta want to go in. Are you talking about voting who wins or voting who goes in?
Voting to who goes in or who
the dunk contest. I think not for that.
But they still gotta decide. Like, they still got. I do agree with the 3-point contest, but the dunk thing is like the player still has to decide. Hey, I'll do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's where it makes it a little bit difficult. But 3-point contest.
That's where. Here, I'll give you this. I'll give you a solution to that. I'll give you a solution to that. I'm gonna use 3-point contest just as an example here. Grab the 15 best 3-point shooters in the league right now. Ask them before All-Star break. Yo, we want you for the 3-point contest. Is it cool if we put you on this list if you get voted? Yes. If not, I'm sorry.
Right. 3-point, I think 3-point's easier because there's a legitimate 3-point numbers. You keep track of that. You can just go by percentage. It really should just be the best percentage guy. Some years there's guys that shoot a great percentage. Like Isaiah Joe, I know he's not the biggest name. That guy should be in the darn 3-point contest. He is one of the best.
Oh my God. This year could be crazy.
But I doubt, is Isaiah Joe even going to be in there because nobody knows who he is? So
y'all want to know who the leaders are?
And 3-point percentage?
Yes. Y'all want the top 5?
Isaiah Joe and probably someone else.
No, bro. It's crazy. Top 5. Number 1 is Grayson Allen.
Okay. What's he shooting? For
48%.
He should be in there. He's shooting damn near
Lonnie Walker is number 2 at 47%. Aaron Naismith is number 3. Malik Beasley, Kevin Durant, and then you got Jalen Williams, Norman Powell, Doug McDermott, Kawhi at 9, and Mike Conley at 10.
That may have thrown a wrench in my plans because
that's what I'm saying. Because I
thought Jalen would actually be there. I'm not gonna lie.
Brunson's probably close.
Brunson, yeah,
he's 14.
Okay.
So maybe you do
he's under Big Purr
based on percentage.
He's under Big Purr.
Yeah. You heard Karl Towns best big man shooter of all time, of course. Self-proclaimed.
Self-proclaimed is insane.
To be fair, maybe we put maybe you go by percentage, but with a minimum amount of shots per game. Like if you set that minimum amount of shots, what are most of those guys averaging per game in terms of makes?
Okay, as far as you're talking about attempts per game?
Let's say makes per game. What's the top guys averaging and what's some of their makes per game?
I can tell you how many they told. It tells you totals in period. Like it says
Okay.
As far as like 3-point goals made, Grayson Allen has 100 made. Lonnie has 56 made. Aaron Naismith has that's attempted. He has 79 made. Beasley has 116. Like Kevin Durant has 75. So I guess if you want to go by how many they made, like, and then calculate the percentages, you can do like that too.
Yeah, so maybe we do like, okay, there's a minimum amount of threes per game that you have to average as well to be eligible. But like, there's ways to do it. Dunk contest, I'm okay with fan voting because, there's no way to tell. We need to bring back the dunk contest, make it great again. Find some way to get the stars out there to compete. If you just put some money on the line, players will always go out for money. You put, $500K on the line, you put $1 million on the line, the good guys will show up, I think.
Like, it's really hard. It's really hard to tell because Paul George has 141 made, but his percentage is lower than some of these guys on here. You know what I mean? Okay,
so maybe, you find some formula to look at, percentage versus kind of way to reward
combine shots taken, no? You divide the shots made by the shots taken, and you get a true percentage.
Yeah, that's
what the percentage is.
Just for whatever reason, NBA.com doesn't have.
No, I'm just saying, like, that's the percentage. Like, they tell you the percent, and they just tell you how many they made.
Yeah, there's not like 3-pointers per game, but you can get that on Basketball Reference. The NBA has access to all
for sure, yeah.
And just for our final topic for today, I have a report that came out 10 minutes ago. The Raptors are expected to trade their last part of their championship squad, Chris Boucher.
No, not Chris Boucher.
Conversation is that? Oh my, okay.
Damn, I mean, look, we know he's not a big piece, right?
Nah, he's giant.
Next thing Omar's gonna ask me is, what do you think he's gonna go for?
No, I'm not gonna say that. Where do you guys think he's gonna go? No,
a club soda and a sandwich from Publix.
No.
One more thing, there should be a horse contest in the All-Star.
Here we go.
100%. There should be a horse contest. Watching NBA, they used to do that at like halftime. I think in like the 80s or something, you'd have like Bird playing horse against somebody. It'd be crazy.
Oh,
tell me that would not be fun to have like the best players do like a 1v1.
What did you think he said?
That would be awesome.
What'd you think?
You're gonna laugh at my answer.
What?
And thank you guys for joining. I'm just playing. Join us on this very special episode of Beyond the Backboard, episode 20.
Yep.
We made it to the big 2-0. We got a lot of fun.
To 100.
100%. We got a lot of fun stuff coming this year. We're excited for everybody who likes, comments, shares. We appreciate you guys watching.
Subscribe, please.
And make sure you subscribe. We'll be coming on this channel every single week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and we will catch you guys next time.
On the flippity flip, we shall catch you.
Molly Whopper.
Wow.
I'm sorry.